Can you see me now? You can see the whole me. Okay, very good. So let me just start over since I don't know. I think there's one person watching, but I think I may know who that is. But anyways, welcome. My name is Kathy. I'm a physical therapist. And I was just talking about when somebody comes in for physical therapy and they have some shoulder problems or they're having trouble reaching, maybe they're after a surgery, something like that. What I'll typically do is I'll look at the strength, the range of motion, and this is after I've done their history. I've talked to them, found out what's going on, and I'll also look at the joint play assessment to see how the joints are moving. But typically what I find is that most of the people that I work with, most of their trouble when it comes to reaching and lifting comes because they have weak scapular stabilizers. So the muscles in the upper back, including the rotator cuff, the rhomboids, the upper trap, the lower trap, those muscles that kind of keep your shoulders in place as you're moving your arm, those are typically the ones that are weak. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show a few exercises. So if you're here, if you don't mind just giving a little comment, a little shout out, let me know who's here. Oh, and it's Rob from Home Gym Physique. You keep catching me, which is really kind of cool. Hope you've been well, and that's pretty exciting. So here we are. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, I remembered your name this time. I'm really bad with names, but I remembered that you're Rob because you visited me a couple times now, so that's pretty exciting. So what we're going to do is we are going to do some light exercises to kind of work on the scapular stabilizer. So my top 3 favorite ones are if you can have a light weight. If you are too weak to use a weight, this one here is 2 pounds. You can start off doing this without any weight at all. So what I like to do is I like to hinge forward from my hips, leaning near the counter. And what I'll do is I'll hinge forward. I think I might have to move this chair. That's okay. Anyways, we'll put that guy right over there in case I need it later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the inside leg forward. And what that does is it gives me room to maneuver the arm that's on the outside. And so what I'll do is I'll lean forward with the inside leg forward so it's easier to hinge forward from the hips. And I'll lift that weight, hold it for a moment, and come right back down. On this one, we're just going to do about 10 of them. And we're going to go nice and slow. On the way down, we want to do this with a good amount of control because the eccentric control is where you build a lot of that strength. So we're just going. And right now, I do have a little bit of a shoulder injury. Sorry if I just made a noise because I touched my microphone. Sometimes when I lean over, my microphone gets in a bad position, and it actually fell off the other day when I was working. So, alrighty. So we're going up just like this. And I think that's close enough to 10. Let's see. What have we got going on here? Okay. So the next exercise we're going to do, it's the same, only now we're going to be lifting the weight out to the side with some horizontal abduction. And so again, I'm hinging forward from the hips. I'm leaning forward using the counter to help support me, lifting my arm out to the side, holding it for just a second, and coming back down. Now, when you're doing these, ideally you would work both sides. So even if it's just my right shoulder that bothers me, I would go ahead and work the left side as well, just so that we're targeting both sides. We don't want to just work out one arm and let the other arm be weak, unless you're doing something like a pendulum exercise or active assistive range of motion, like you might do after a surgery or some sort of injury. I prefer to go ahead and use both and do both sides. Alrighty. Once we've done that, The other one I like to do, it's very similar, only now instead of going out with the arm straight, I'm going to lift up with the elbow bent, bringing the arm out, and that's just going to change what muscles get used because we want to get both the middle trapezius and the rhomboids. So we're lifting up just like this. And we've been having some beautiful weather here. And today we did have some rain finally, which we kind of needed. I thought we were going to have good weather all weekend long. You know, the sunshine and, you know, mid-70s, which is perfect for bike riding and going for walks and hikes and things like that. But yesterday was perfect, and today we've got the rain, which is good for other things. So now I'm going to go ahead and do both sides because I'm going to practice what I preach here. So I'm going to go ahead and start with lifting up forward. Now, if you're doing these at home, probably better to switch from one side to the other. But since I'm just demonstrating, I feel like it's better to just demonstrate one side at a time. But you're probably going to get tired, or your muscles are going to fatigue a little faster if you do it, you know, forward, out, and then with the elbow bent. So hinging forward again and just lifting up just like this. And I thought about doing these in the morning, these live streams, like before I go to work. But the issue is I need to leave my house pretty early. And since the weather or the seasons are changing, I don't have much light if I were to go on at 6:30 in the morning. And I'm not quite certain if I want to invest in lights for this room, because the problem, it's not really a problem, but space is an issue because this is really a shared space. My whole family uses this room already. And since I talk too much, we'll just go ahead and go out to the side now. So I'm holding the weight and I'm just lifting out to the side. Ideally, you want to go about even with your body. If you had a mirror, or if I had a mirror, I could see exactly where my arm is to make sure that I'm bringing it in the right spot. You could go over midline if you wanted to, but if you've got shoulder pain, I would recommend staying in the pain-free range of motion. If you go into a painful range of motion, you can do more damage if you've already got some things going on. So if you're doing these at home and it's actually muscle, you know, a joint pain or a muscle pain, not just fatigue after doing a few repetitions, then you probably want to modify your form or hold off on doing these exercises. Alrighty, I think that's close enough to 10. Now, if you had a weight bench, that would be perfect for this, because you could just kind of put your hand down there and do the same exercise. So now we're coming out to the side with the elbow bent, getting those mid traps and the rhomboids. And then in just a few minutes, I'm going to show you the rotator cuff muscles. Now, I did have a comment lately where somebody did ask for a video, short and sweet with no repeats, doing one set of each exercise. So I've been working on that, trying to get that together. It'll be something similar to what you're seeing here. So if you happen to be that person that requested that video, I am only going to be doing one set of each of these exercises today. Okay, that looks good to me. Alrighty. Okay. Oh, okay, home to. I've unfortunately had a few shoulders injuries in my time. Not pleasant. Surprisingly, my injuries are usually the result of sleeping in a bad position. Yeah, that can happen. Or one thing that I've noticed over the years is people who have shoulder injuries, what they'll notice is they'll first notice the injury when they're pulling up the blankets at night, because that type of motion will cause pain. So yeah, it can happen that you can get an injury from sleeping in the wrong direction or in the wrong position. But yeah, I've had some injuries over the years, and what I noticed is it's very hard to sleep on your back or your side or your stomach. So it makes sleeping really difficult. But sometimes I'll tell people if they are on their back, if they can kind of prop their arm up so that it's not falling below midline. So if you pictured if I were lying down, you know, if I'm just on my bed, my shoulder will drop down like that. But if I can prop up a position, if I can prop my arm up on a pillow so that I'm more in a resting position, that'll be easier. Or if you like to sleep on your side, you can take a pillow and just kind of put it under your arm so that it doesn't sink down. So it just stays in the shoulder joint a little bit better. So, but I imagine with a lot of the workouts that you do, Rob, that your arms are pretty darn strong. If I had to muscle test you, I'd probably be pushing down with both arms. So, alrighty, I did not make a lot of notes today, but that's okay. So the next exercise I'm going to do, and this isn't for scapular stabilization, it's just because I want to do a little bit of arm workout. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of stand from the side so you can see a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is I just have the 2-pound weights because, like I say, I've got a little bit of a slight strain in one of my shoulders. So I'm going to keep my knees bent, and when I lift up my arms, I'm not going to go directly out to the side. I'm going to angle forward just a little bit because that reduces the amount of strain on the shoulder. And I've got my thumbs up, which is good because that prevents your arms from going into an impingement position. Because the way the bones in the arm are, when you have your arms with the thumbs pointing down, you'll get less range of motion and you'll put your arm in a position that can cause an impingement, and you don't want to do that. So my stomach muscles are activated. I'm drawing my belly button to my spine, and I'm just going to go nice and easy on these, not too fast. And we'll do somewhere right around 10 of these. And I was actually thinking of just recording this as if I were making a video with an intro and all of that, so that I could repurpose it for my channel. But honestly, I wasn't really feeling it. And then right before I went live, I got some really bad news about someone. So here we are. Not supposed to cry during your lives, right? It's supposed to keep it upbeat and happy. But that's okay. Alrighty, so that is that. That is scaption, by the way. So there's when you're lifting up like that, you're more in the plane of the scapula, and when you do that, it just puts a little less stress on the joints. And like I said, so since my arms are hurting me, I thought that would be easier for today. So the next one, I'm just going to be doing shoulder flexion, lifting up about shoulder height, thumbs up again, just like that. And here we go. Now, I don't know, let's see. My one daughter that usually likes to be here, she found something else to do, but I don't know what it was. I do have family here for moral support, but and I've got anybody who's watching here for moral support, so that's cool. Here we go. Just lifting up. Again, I'm making sure my core muscles are engaged so that I'm not wobbling through the trunk, and just lifting up. And again, we'll do maybe 10 of these or so. Now, if you're doing these at home later on, if you're watching the replay, I like to do 2 or 3 sets, somewhere between 8 and 12. Go by how you feel. If you can do a lot of these without any muscle fatigue, you probably want to increase your weight just a touch. Alrighty, let's see what's going on over here. You have 4 likes so far. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks for everybody that liked it. So I think I've got like 4 people watching, and I've got 4 likes. So that's amazing right now. So let's see. I did the scapular stabilizers. I did the muscles going forward. I did that. So next, if you happen to have a band, I really like this one for the shoulder stability. Now, this band is a little bit on the heavy side, and I've been thinking about cutting it, but I think I'm just going to leave it like this for now. So what I'm going to do, again, I'm going to be thumbs up, and I'm going to externally rotate both of my shoulders at the same time. Again, little bend in the knees, stomach muscles activated. If you were getting tired, you could go ahead and have a seat if you want. But I like doing my stuff standing usually. Whoop. Well, there you go. Well, I was worried about whether or not I should cut it. And now that answered my question for me. And you can actually see it actually tore pretty straight, which if you've ever tried to cut one of these resistance bands, they actually are really hard to cut straight. So I think that was just the seam where it went together. This is from Five Below. A little while back, little story here. A little while back, I decided to make some videos about the stuff that they have at Five Below. So I got these bands here, which do have latex. So if you have a latex allergy, these are no good. I bought the ones with the bands, with the handles. Again, those seem like they're made out of latex. And I bought this blue stability ball as well as the light weights. So my recommendation is probably get a better brand unless you're on a really tight budget and can't afford the better band. The stability ball, it's fine if you just want maybe your legs on the ball, but I would not sit on that ball. I do a lot of exercises for my core sitting on the ball or lying on the ball, and I just wouldn't trust this ball to hold me up because it does not say that it's burst resistant. Somebody in my comments a while back suggested that I pierce the ball with something sharp to see if it's burst resistant. That wouldn't really do the trick because when they test them to see if they're burst resistant in the factory, that's not how they do it. They put the ball under pressure and then they see if it holds up, and they don't stab it with something sharp. But the weights are fine. The weights, I think the weights were like $3 each. The weights are fine for the lighter weights, but the bands, I probably would choose something different, but that's just me. Okay, so for this one, we were doing the shoulder external rotation. Now this broke at the point of where it was, I don't know, I don't want to say glued together, but that's the word that comes to mind right now. So for this, it's probably fine. Whenever you're using the elastic bands, it's probably good to just take a good look at them before you use them and make sure there's no defects or tears or holes or anything, especially if you're anchoring them maybe to the door, which is what I do sometimes to do some, oh, see, yeah. I haven't really been using this band very much. In fact, this might be the first time I've used it since I made that video. And as you can see, no good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch because there was another exercise I wanted to show you. And let's see, I'll just take this dish towel here. So for this one, I like it. Normally in the clinic, what we would do is we would put a looped band around our arms. In fact, you know what? I can do that. If you don't have a looped band, let's see, here it is. Okay, I'll use this pink one. This pink one is sturdy. I usually use it around my ankles, but this is fine. So what you do is you take your looped band and you pull your arms apart so you've got some tension in there. And then you want to keep your arms parallel to each other. You don't want the elbows in and you don't want them out. You want to keep your elbows parallel to each other. And then you want to reach up, keeping your arms parallel about 10 times. And when you do this, it works the rotator cuff muscles, and also all of the muscles in the upper back are working when you do this. So this is great for scapular stabilization and as an exercise to help you with your reaching. So I don't know if you can see from here, we're just going up like that, just what I can. If I feel like if I go much higher than that, I'm going to get some compensatory movements in other parts of my body. So I'm just going to go just like this. Alrighty, so my final verdict for the bands from 5 below, save your money, buy something else, because it doesn't really do you any good to buy an exercise band that you only can use 2 times. No good at all. So already. Now, I don't know if in England they have a 5 below. That might just be something they have here in the US. But the idea is everything in the store costs less than $5, although in the last couple of years, they have another section where you might spend some more money. So anyways, there we go. Yeah, the bands. Yeah, never heard of that band. 5 Below is actually a store where they sell, well, they do sell some fitness equipment, like on a limited basis. Like I said, they have some bands like this, the light weights. They do have a kettlebell that I was looking at, some stability balls. They sell books and paints and kids' toys, some clothing, some makeup, just like a little bit of everything. Candy, things like that. But it's a store where the idea is everything costs less than $5. Although with the prices, everything's going up. So anyways, let's see here. So, oh yes, triceps. I didn't do anything for my triceps yet. So for this one, there's lots of different ways that you can do these. You could do some dips, you could do some push-ups. And in fact, I would say that if you are strong enough, push-ups, you could either do them against a wall, on a counter, or on a floor. Push-ups are probably one of the best exercise that get the core and the chest and the triceps. But right now, besides my shoulder injury, I've got a little issue in my hand that I need to have addressed. So normally, if I do my push-ups, I would do them on a counter. But right now, I know if I try to do any push-ups on the counter, that I'm going to end up hurting my hand. And since I need to go to work tomorrow and work with people with my hand not hurting, I'm going to skip those and just use the light weight. So for these, because my triceps are a little bit stronger than my stabilizers, I'm just going to get, whoops, a little bit heavier weight. So this one is just 4 pounds. So again, I'm going to hinge forward from the hips. Front leg is in forward. And I'm just going to lift up like this and then extend my elbow. Just like that. And that works multiple heads of the tricep because as the name implies, the tricep has 3 separate heads. And it's good to work all of them. So a little bit of shoulder extension and the elbow extension. Alrighty. So for those of you that are watching, maybe you haven't commented yet, I've watched Home Gym Physique. His name is Rob. His channel is fantastic, especially if you are a little bit stronger and want to see some higher level weightlifting. His channel is fantastic. You might want to check it out. But for those other people, I was wondering, what type of workouts do you normally do? And do you usually just watch people when they're doing their workouts on YouTube, or do you follow along? That would be good for me to know. I'm just very curious about that. So, alrighty. And because I stopped to talk, I have no idea of where I was with these. So we'll just do this side a few more times. And then I'll switch over and do the other. Now, ideally, when you're working out, you'll target the major muscle groups of both the upper and the lower body a couple times a week each. And you could do everything on the same day if you wanted to, but also you want to have 150 minutes of moderate physical activity a week, according to the American Heart Association, to lower your risk of all-cause mortality, which means just lowering your risk of developing different diseases. So for me, one of my favorite things, just because it's very accessible, and in my neighborhood, I have, good sidewalks and parks to go to. It's pretty easy to get that much walking in. Now, I don't know if my mother happens to be watching today. Sometimes she does, but on Sundays, she's, usually kind of busy this time of day. Not that I would ever want to exclude my mother. I would like to have her, but I know she's a busy lady, but she walks at least 2 miles a day, and she's close to 80. So if she can do it, maybe you can too. So give it a try. Start off maybe walking just a little bit, and then get a little bit more. And the next thing you'll know, you'll be just like her, and you'll be walking at least 2 miles a day. Now that the 2 miles for her is the minimum, but she likes to try to get a couple of different walks in, so she'll break it up, and she aims to get 4 to 5 miles a day. So I'm impressed. She puts me to shame. Oh, because she does work really hard to stay active. Here we go. And I think that's probably good on those. And so last week, I think when I was on, I had mentioned that I was going to see my mother to celebrate her, to have a birthday lunch. And I had bought these lovely flowers that you see here for her last Friday. And I forgot to take them, and I felt really bad. So she's like, don't worry about it. You enjoy them. So we have them here, and those flowers are hers. And they're still beautiful. It's been over a week, and they still look really nice. Let's see. Holy moly. Okay, so bands, 6 legs. Oh, nostalgia of 2000s. Hi from North Carolina. Well, hi, nostalgia from North Carolina. Last week, there was somebody else here from North Carolina, or maybe it was the week before. I can't remember, but I don't think it was nostalgia of 2000s. Higher level, I don't know about that. I'm trying hard. Okay, home gym physique, Rob, he says higher level, I don't know about that, and he's laughing. I'm trying hard myself to get back in shape. Too easy to stop weight training. Life has a way of interfering at times. That is true. And I think even with like the change of seasons, like for me, I've got kids going back to school, work's picking up a little bit. It's been a little bit more busy. I've been trying to do a little bit more YouTube and physical activity, except for, me showing you exercises and then making time for my own exercises, because it takes a lot of time normally if you're making videos, all the editing and planning and making thumbnails and things like that. It's very time consuming and quite sedentary. I do not have like a, what is that? The walking desks. And I don't know if I could do editing with a walking desk. I don't think I could. I'd probably end up with an injury. So if you can work at a desk where it's like a treadmill desk, that's great, but I don't think I can. I think it would be too dangerous. So anyways, does your mom walk a dog or just enjoy walking in general? Yeah, my mom's fantastic. She walks usually by herself, and she does not have a dog, although her friend Luann is trying to talk her into getting a little Frenchie. But no, my mom just likes to walk. She likes to stay active. She's got a beautiful garden. She spends a lot of time out there, especially this time of year. There's a lot of work to get ready for winter. So she spends a lot of time gardening and just being active. She's incredible. She's got a lot of different groups that she's in for social activities. So she's a busy, busy lady. So there we go. Let's see. Alrighty. Oopsie daisy. Okay, there we go. I'm back. You didn't see me go anywhere, but that's that. So if I wanted to, I could do a few bicep curls. So I'm just going to do one at a time because I don't feel like getting the other weight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my arm like this, and I'm just going to bend my elbow and then control back down. When I'm doing these, now there's a lot of different ways that you can work your biceps. You know, there's just a lot of different ways that you can do them. And I'm just going to do it just like this today. Probably a heavier weight would be good for most people. But if you're weak, if you haven't worked out in a while, 4 pounds might be okay. So let me just do one other thing here on my computer. Just going to, there we go. So we're going to do just a few more of these. And alrighty, this looks good. Yeah, staying active when, I don't know what that is. Staying active, just especially if you're working. So between working, if you have any family obligations, if you want to have a social life, sometimes it's easy to put working out on a back burner, especially if you've had instances where you've taken a long break and you want to get back into the activity. So you think, this is where I was when I stopped, and you try to go back to doing the same thing. Like suppose you used to run 3 miles and then you want to get back into running. And you said, well, the last time I ran a few months back, I was able to run 3 miles, and then you go and try to run 3 miles. Number one, while you're doing that, chances are you're not going to feel the best. And the next day, you're probably going to regret your life decisions because your body isn't up for that heavy of an activity. So I always tell people, if you haven't exercised in a while, start slow, stay steady, get the habit build up first. And then as you go, you can, push yourself a little harder and do all the things. Now, the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to do the overhead press. Now, these are very controversial, apparently. A lot of people say never do an overhead press because you can get injured. I like this exercise because I want to be able to reach into that top cabinet, and I'm going to, most likely, if I'm reaching into that top cabinet, I'm either pulling something down or putting something up there. So to me, this is quite functional. But when I do it, I'm going to have my feet apart, a little bend in the knees, and I'm going to keep my hands in front of my face, just like this. Would you mind getting me a glass of water, please? Thank you. All right. Don't mind me as I'm having a moment here. I'm just going to do a few of these. I forgot to get my water before we started. Here we go. And so while I'm doing these, I'm making sure, if you see from the side, that my hands are staying in front of my face so that I don't get any impingement. If you do this, or if you're doing this and it causes you a lot of pain, either modify your position or stop the exercise. None of the exercises that I would be showing you should cause pain. You may feel some muscle fatigue when you're done doing the exercise, but it shouldn't cause you acute pain. So if it's, I don't know if you can see that glass of water that just magically appeared, but I thought the way it was coming, I thought it might slide off for a second. So anyways, that's good. Thank you. I appreciate that. So let me just get the water. And I know people drink water when they're doing a live stream, but with my microphone right here, I'm not, and I don't have anything to mute the microphone. I'm not sure how to do it without making swallowing sounds, which I know some people like the eating sounds and the ASMR. but I know a lot of people really hate it. So I'm trying not to add any extra ASMR. So I'm just going to go ahead and do another set of those because I feel like those feel pretty good today. So palms facing forward, arms up overhead. And like I said, these are just 2 pounds. If I had a heavier weight, it might cause some issues, but I feel like this is just fine. There we go. Alrighty. And I promise, for those of you that may come in and pop in and watch, I'm trying to get better with this. I'm trying to get more comfortable with the technology so that I can schedule it in advance. And when I do that, then I'll probably, when I feel more comfortable having more people, I'll probably schedule it further in advance instead of it being a surprise. So I kind of procrastinated a lot of the day today, but then I said, well, I might as well do it. And then I scheduled it, but something went wrong. I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong because I use my computer to set it up, give myself a thumbnail, give myself a title. But then when I go live using my phone, something happens. Now I know that Rob the Maritimer, for those of you that have your own YouTube channels, he has a course going right now, but I'm not in the market for buying any courses because, like I said, I'm just a one-person show here. I do all my own editing. I do all my own thumbnails, as you could probably tell if you look at my content. I use my Samsung S24 to record. I've got a fairly inexpensive Boya microphone that I use, and that's what I have. I use a free version of DaVinci Resolve. I was using CapCut a little while back, which I really liked the interface with CapCut, but they changed their terms of service, and I really didn't like what they did with that because they said they could have my content in perpetuity and use it however they like, and I just didn't feel comfortable with that. Even though I'm a small YouTuber and almost nobody knows me, I thought, I don't like somebody else having control over my content. So I decided that I would cut ties with CapCut and switch over to DaVinci Resolve. So DaVinci Resolve is a fantastic program. There's a free version and a studio version. I'm still using the free version, but it seems to be working well for me. So that's okay. That's first class service. Yes, it is. That's my partner in crime helping me out there. Yeah, the phones do have great cameras, and that is what they need. Now, my mom gave me an older DSLR camera, but for recording, which I don't think I could do a live stream with it. Maybe you could, but I'd have to figure that out. And since the phone is easy because the interface is easy, that's what I'm using for now. But for taking my regular videos, I would like something that has a little bit better light sensors because I'm always having to deal in post-production with color grading, and I'm looking back at some of my older videos when I first switched over to DaVinci Resolve, and they're not the best. And so today, I don't know if you can tell, but usually the last couple of times I went live, I had the overhead lights on. And then when I went to look at it, it's like you could see all the shadows coming down. I'm like, well, that's no good. But like I said, I'm not ready to invest in lighting because, number one, I'm investing a lot of time, which I know you could go either way on this. Do you have more time or do you have more money? I'm spending a lot of time doing all the things I'm doing, but the budget is what the budget is, and you could spend a lot of money for cameras and lights and all of that, and you could spend a lot of money to hire people to edit your videos too, but I'm just not at that point right now, so that's not what we're doing. So let me just put that, I don't know, hopefully that's out of the way. Anyway, so let's see. Alrighty. Now, Rob, I do want to let you know, that if you ever go live, let me know, because I would love to support you. You have been fantastic, and I really appreciate you being here. And just commenting and keeping the conversation rolling. Like I said, I will probably start scheduling these out in advance, but for right now, this is just where I am. And whenever you exercise, it's always good to do a warm-up and a cool down and to stretch your muscles somewhere along the way, because that will help prevent injuries. What I usually like to do is a little bit of a warm-up, a little bit of a stretch, do your exercise, and then a little bit of a cool down. And I think that is a good way to go. And so anyways, I think it is time for me to say, try turning on the lights just now and see if there's a difference. Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, go ahead, turn it on. I feel like, yeah, the lights are now on. And I feel like when I'm editing the video afterwards, because last week, the video I did, I took some parts of it and made it into a long form video for my channel. But then as I'm doing the editing, you can really see the lights on my face, like the shadows coming down. I don't know, because there are overhead lights, and they say that that's not the best. But anyways, it is what it is. I'm figuring it all out. But what do you think? We'll do. Okay, try turning on the lights to see if it makes a difference. Let me know what you think. I don't know if I'm on a lag here. So anyways, you can go ahead, and having the lights is better on, I think. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that, because like I said, when you're working by yourself, you're just trying to figure it all out. We'll go ahead and leave them on for now. But I think no, it's fine. Yeah, so, right. I get very distracted. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I do appreciate you being here. We had Home Gym Physique, and we also had Nostalgia of 2000. So I've already checked out Rob at Home Gym Physique. I'm going to go ahead and check out Nostalgia of 2000s and see what you're up to. I do appreciate you being here. It really means a lot to me. You could be doing anything at all on this lovely Sunday afternoon, but you chose to spend some time with me, and I just want to let you know how much I do appreciate that. So thank you for stopping by, and we'll see you probably next week. Bye-bye.